This is a Dragon Blazer production, and I am the little boogeyman.
Right. Coming down the aisle, the podcast tag team champions of the world, the Rage and Blaze Show. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Rage and Blaze Show. I'm Rage.
And I'm Blaze.
And today we are going to have our very first ever episode covering the Royal Rumble. Are you excited about this, Blaze?
I am very excited about this. I love the Royal Rumble match. It's one of my favorite pay-per-views in wrestling. It's just... 30 men. Well, today, 20 men.
Yeah, we only get 20 men in the first ever Royal Rumble.
And 29, or today, 19 eliminated.
Yeah, the Royal Rumble is always a fun match, and being that we are from the future, we know that in later Royal Rumbles, it kind of becomes a match that gives them a chance to bring some old faces out. Obviously, this time, everybody's an old face.
Yeah.
Everybody's an old face. But we know later on in the WWE, the later Royal Rumbles, it's a good time to bring legends out and surprises. And it's always fun for the surprises. One of my favorite moments in Royal Rumble history was when Mick Foley entered the Rumble 3 different times with 3 different characters. I thought that was genius. I know technically that means there was only, 27 entrants instead of, maybe 28 entrants instead of the normal 30.
Foley was huge.
But that was exciting as can be when you had Mick Foley come out as Cactus Jack, Dude Love, and Mankind all in the same Royal Rumble. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to win. Even with 3 chances, he wasn't able to win the Rumble. But I thought that was a fun little surprise.
I remember that. That was a fun one.
Any other big surprises that the Royal Rumbles brought to you throughout the years that you can recall that maybe is one of your favorite moments of the Rumble?
The 3 Faces of Foley one was really, really fun. I guess either Shawn Michaels or Rey Mysterio winning because they were both 1 and 2 entrant.
Okay, so you're saying just...
those were good ones.
You were excited as them being a winner as opposed to a surprise that was entrant.
Now, if you want to go with moments, Shelton Benjamin, anytime Shelton Benjamin was in a Royal Rumble, he always had very unique moments, and Kofi Kingston always has really fun moments at Royal Rumbles.
Yeah, they're always...
Shelton is also really great in those ladder matches.
Oh, I can't wait till we get to the WrestleManias. I know we're talking Royal Rumble today, but I just can't wait to get to WrestleManias where they start doing the TLC matches with the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian. They kind of really started that whole trend of the TLC match, and then later on they move on to the Money in the Bank match.
Money in the Bank is one of my favorites.
Those are some of my favorite moments in WrestleMania history. Any time ladders got involved at WrestleMania, it was a really great moment.
Money in the Bank got so big it got its own pay-per-view later on.
Yeah, that unfortunately it did kind of veer away from WrestleMania. I kind of enjoyed it when it was a WrestleMania kind of spot, and now they've kind of taken it away and put it in its own little show.
Yeah, I think they replaced it with the battle. I feel like they placed it with the Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
Yeah, that's possible. So, but today it's all about the Royal Rumble. The first Royal Rumble is 20 men. Now, I don't believe this first Royal Rumble entitled you to a championship match at WrestleMania. It'll be interesting to see how this show evolves, because now that's kind of that's what you get for winning.
Royal Rumble is the start to the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
This is the start. This is You got Royal Rumble, and then it's all straight on down to the WrestleMania.
Right. So this really kind of leads that road. Now, something I learned while doing a little bit of research on this Royal Rumble is I was actually going through the chronological order of pay-per-views for WWE, then WWF, and I learned that this Royal Rumble in 1988 was missing in the chronological order. Do you know why?
No, why was that, Blaze? Or Rage?
I'm Rage. You're Blaze.
I'm Blaze.
This is the Rage and Blaze show. So the reason being is because the first ever Royal Rumble was actually a television special on USA. It was not a pay-per-view. So in chronological order, it is not considered a pay-per-view. But if you go to the WWE Network app, it is listed in the pay-per-view sections along with the rest of the Royal Rumbles.
And we're going to watch it as if it was.
And we are. We're going to watch it as if it was a pay-per-view because it's the Royal Rumble. It's the first ever Royal Rumble, and we're going to treat it as such. But it was just interesting to know that this was not originally a pay-per-view event.
That's very interesting.
I thought so. So go ahead, and if you want to join the conversation, you can hit us up at The Rage and Blaze Show on Facebook, at The Rage and Blaze Show on Instagram, at Ricky Rayberg, that's RICKYREHBERG, that's at Ricky Rayberg at Twitter. And then what is yours?
Dragon Blazer Productions on Facebook and Instagram, and Dragon Blazer Pro on Twitter.
Okay, so that is where you can join the conversation. We post a lot of things wrestling related, this history in wrestling. We throw out birthday wishes to famous wrestlers as we see their birthdays come up, and that is the place you can discuss these old pay-per-views with us. And we will list our rankings of the pay-per-views as the shows air. So, obviously, right now, we're not going to have a ranking of Royal Rumble posted. We're not going to have a ranking of Survivor Series posted. We do have a ranking of WrestleMania posted.
Yes, and I just updated it today.
To add WrestleMania 3. Because we won't add it until we're done with it on the show.
Absolutely.
So that is what you can do if you want more of the Rage and Blaze show. But as of right now, we are going to move on to the 1988 Royal Rumble, January 24th, 1988, at Copps Coliseum in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. So that's what we are going to do now. We're going to enjoy this, and let's move on to the show.
All right, let's go.
Okay, so the Royal Rumble starts off with a match between Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Ravishing Rick Rude. I was really excited to watch this match.
Battle of the Rickies.
Yeah, Battle of the Rickies. I'm partial to the Rickies. I like the Rickies. So anyhow, so this match kind of starts off fast, high octane, high pace, some throwing over the ropes, things like that. And then out of nowhere, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat puts an armbar on Rick Rude that felt like it lasted for 5 minutes.
Well, this is a tactic done by a lot of submission wrestlers where they focus on one location, like the arm, the leg, and they focus on that. And that's what Ricky the Dragon Steamboat was doing. He was wearing down that arm.
Yes. So then, as Ricky is working on this arm, finally we get Ravishing Rick Rude decides he gets the upper hand. There's some brawling moments, some punching, some throwing into the turnbuckles, and then he gets a submission move. And this is where we really want to discuss this match, isn't it?
Yeah, this was interesting. First off, we come to the realization is tap out's not a thing yet.
Yeah, so Ricky the Dragon Steamboat was pounding on the mat with his hands to try to get a crowd reaction to help him get that momentum to get out of this move. And as we watch wrestling today, we're just looking at each other like,
this match is over. This is over. Ravishing Rick Rude just won.
He just tapped out.
Tapped out.
I mean, several times he taps out. So I don't remember this watching wrestling in the 80s, but apparently,
well,
maybe tap out wasn't a thing yet.
We were both under 10 when we were watching in the 80s.
Yeah, we were pretty young, but it was very interesting to see just how many times he would hit the mat with his hands, and there was nothing. So then, as this move goes on longer and longer, which felt like another 5 minutes, this was a 17-minute match, and I'd say 10 minutes of it was spent on submission holds.
Which, I mean, that's a preference. If you like submission wrestlers, this is the match for you.
I do like submissions, and I do like those type of matches. I do feel it went on a little bit too long. So, both wrestlers had submission holds. Both wrestlers just held it forever. And just when you think one guy would break out, there'd be some kind of a, like with Rick Rude, he was holding him on his back, and he jumps up and lands, his butt on his back just to continue the same move. So then another thing that interested us was that the Dragon Steamboat had Earl Hebner grabbed his hand. And we do remember this.
We do remember doing this kind of thing.
And maybe there wasn't such a thing as tap out, because I don't really recognize refs doing this today. Now that I really think about it, and I watch this match, where he holds his hand up and he lets it drop. And if it drops, he does this 3 times, and he drops it a second time.
Well, traditionally, it's
3 times. Well, he holds up Ricky's hand for a 3rd time, and it drops. And the match isn't over.
I don't know if it was a botch or a mistake.
It was like, definitely
hey, Ricky,
felt
you're not
like
supposed
a botch.
to lose yet. You're not supposed to lose yet. Oh, I'm sorry.
So then on the 4th drop, he does the whole holds his arm up and shakes, and kind of like Hulk Hogan, where he hawks up and he gets out of the move. But we looked at each other, and even Jesse the Body Ventura, during the commentating, said, "Oh, that dropped 3 times. That should be it. That's the end of the match." They even talk about it. So it was an obvious botch between Ricky's arm and the referee. Obviously, the match wasn't supposed to end.
At counting.
But he definitely dropped it 3 times. It was the 4th time that he kind of hawked up. So then this match kind of speeds up and picks up after this. And there's a lot more wrestling involved after this. Less submission moves. And then we get the whole probably 10 tries of pins where Earl Hebner has to go and get a second shoulder surgery.
Really exciting... Really exciting moment with the pins. They were both doing some...
Yeah, it was a back and forth roll-ups. There was back and forth. Each wrestler was pinning the other wrestler, and we got that back and forth where we had that in another match on one of the WrestleManias.
There was the Rick Rude when he was on top of Ricky the Dragon, and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat got up with a bridge to stop the pin. That was
right.
Cool.
That was really cool. So there was a lot of fun moments towards the end of this match that was really, really exciting. But then the match ends with Ravishing Rick Rude being down after, I believe it was a suplex from Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Then he goes up to the top rope. Rick Rude starts getting up, sees that he's about to get a crossbody, is what the Dragon was about to perform.
Which is
so then
the Dragon's finishing move.
Yeah, it's sort of his finishing move.
Crossbody.
So he sees this as coming. So, Rick Rude's definitely the heel here. He grabs Earl Hebner, throws him in front of him. So then the Dragon actually does the crossbody on Earl Hebner as opposed to Rick Rude.
Just noticed there was something wrong, and he wanted the ref to see him, and he, Ricky the Dragon just kind of ran into him. I mean, it was an accident.
So as Earl Hebner's laying there, Rick Rude takes the advantage of the surprise moment. He picks up the Dragon Steamboat, picks him up, and does another submission, and he has him up, and then Earl Hebner kind of wakes up to this, and then rings the bell, points for the bell, and Rick Rude starts celebrating, doing his little hip thrust, his dancing, and he leaves the ring thinking he's the winner. They even play his music.
Yeah.
So
even the announcers say that Rick Rude just won the match with the submission.
Yeah, so there's some confusion here. Rick Rude walks all the way down the aisle thinking he won the match, and then the announcer finally gets on the mic and says, as a result of a disqualification, the winner of this match, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And then we find out that Rick Rude's gotten disqualified for pulling Earl Hebner in front of the Dragon Steamboat while he was in the air. So then Rick Rude comes back down to the ring to argue this with Earl Hebner. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, this was a TV special, so they end up going to commercial during this. But that's how this match ended. I found this match fun to a point. There was some tedious, probably 10 minutes of nothing but one submission hold being held by either wrestler that just kind of started dragging for me. But there was really fun spots in the beginning. There was really fun spots at the end. But there was a middle part. I do like submission holds in wrestling, but I do think there is a length of time that you need to break up the match, where I felt they spent a whole point of the match of nothing but submission holds that just kind of got lengthy for me.
I see what you're saying, but I kind of like the story it tells. I like the Dragon focusing on the arm. I'm looking forward to more of that when we get more submission wrestlers in wrestling. You target an area, you attack that area. It's smart. It plays a story, and it makes sense to go after one section, especially if your finisher's a submission on the arm. Mind you, the going after the arm really didn't go anywhere with this match because, it ends in a disqualification, not a submission on the arm. But, I like the story that normally tells. So, I thought this was a decent match. I enjoyed it. Not better than Macho Man Ricky the Dragon Steamboat match, but probably my second favorite match with Ricky the Dragon so far.
Okay. So that's fair. Like I said, I just thought it kind of got tedious at times, and then the fact that, to be honest, I'm rooting for Ricky the Dragon the Steamboat in this match, but let's be honest, he lost. And I hate to say it.
Well, he lost by our standards, but tap out apparently isn't a thing.
Well, not just the tap out. Earl Hebner held the arm up, and it dropped 3 times, and there was no end to the match. It was kind of weird, so there was a little bit of clunkiness in this match.
I feel like the dropping of the hand sleeper hold still gets used to this day, to my knowledge. I believe it's only when the wrestler looks like they're falling asleep and it's a sleeper hold. They don't really use it for submissions in general. But if the wrestler seems knocked out, I believe they still use it to this day.
Okay, well, I think we've spent enough time on this match. We kind of agreed to disagree a little on parts of what we liked and what we didn't like about this match. So let's go ahead and move on with the Royal Rumble. Okay, so the next segment we get isn't a match or anything that I think anybody really wanted to see, but we get a lengthy display of weightlifting. So we get Dino Bravo come out We get Jesse the Body Ventura to come out as his spotter, and we got Mean Gene Okerlund talking about it.
And Frenchie.
Oh, and we got Frenchie, who keeps speaking French, even though, as Mean Gene pointed out, I know you can speak English. So it's kind of a lengthy, time-consuming segment where he just goes through different weights and lifts the weights, and they talk about he's going to try to break the world record, which we're not going to bore you with this thing, but basically in a nutshell, he tries different weights, he keeps going until eventually the crowd booing him eventually makes him kind of walk away and say, pooey, I'm not going to do it. But then he finally comes back and he allegedly breaks the record, which was, I believe, 715 pounds.
Yeah,
I say allegedly for a reason.
Yeah. Johnny Bravo needs help to have Jesse...
Dino. Dino Bravo.
Johnny Bravo needs help. Tell me he didn't look like Johnny Bravo a little bit there. Give him some glasses.
Thank you very much.
I kind of wonder, and I kind of want to look into it, was Dino Bravo the inspiration for Johnny Bravo?
I'm not sure about that, but...
I'm big muscular dude. Johnny Bravo's a big muscular dude. Blonde hair. Put on some glasses. That's Johnny Bravo in the flesh.
Yeah, I don't know.
He just needs to, sexually harass women, and we got our show.
I think that was I think Johnny Bravo was mainly supposed to be Elvis. That's, I believe, more.
How often?
Definitely the way he talks.
I'm saying his look. His look looks inspired by Dino Bravo.
We'd have to.
And his name.
Yeah, we'd have to look into that and see if that was the inspiration, but this show isn't really a cartoon show.
I'm just telling you that I watched this terrible segment, and the only thing that got me through was thinking about, man, all I can think about is Johnny Bravo right now.
Fair enough. Well, anyhow, the reason I say allegedly beat the record is because it looked like
Jesse helped him.
He might have had some help from Jesse the Body Ventura, and even Vince McMahon on the mic commentating points this out to the audience.
Which Mean Gene also mentions that this was an unofficial world record breaking,
right?
Because they didn't have the official people there to take care of it, so this was just all a show, and it was boring, it was terrible, and I want my 10 minutes back.
Yeah, this was kind of a waste.
Was it 10 minutes or was it longer? It felt like
it had
dragged.
I think it
dragged.
at least was 10 minutes. But it just felt like just a segment that we could have done without.
If I wanted to watch the strongman competition, I watched the strongman competition. This is wrestling.
Yeah, I would have rather seen a match during this 10 minutes, even if it was a squash match, something. But this didn't do nothing for me.
I'd rather watch Hogan and Andre again.
Yeah, fair enough. So we're going to move on to hopefully a wrestling match this time.
It is. It's the women's title match. We get to see the Bomb Angels back.
Oh, we do. We get to see the Glamour Girls versus the Jumping Bomb Angels for, I believe, the Women's Tag Team Championship.
Which I'm hoping the Bomb Angels win. I'm hoping they show a little bit more that they showed in the last match we watched, the Survivor Series match, because they were the only good thing about that match.
Well, let's find out. Let's move on to it. Okay, so the next match we have is a best 2 out of 3 falls for the WWF Women's Tag Team Championships. This is against the Jumping Bomb Angels versus the Glamour Girls. What'd you think of this match?
It wasn't bad. Mainly because the Jumping Bomb Angels are actually somewhat talented. They were kind of entertaining. I don't know how the Glamour Girls got that title. They were not really that exciting at all to me.
Yeah, this was definitely the shining moment for the Jumping Bomb Angels. They were definitely exciting to watch, and this match played out pretty good. I mean, I thought the flow of this match, even though it was 2 out of 3 falls, the flow was better than the first match we watched.
I don't know about that, but it wasn't a bad match. I guess there was some controversy about this.
Well, let's hold on. Let's start off with the first fall that went to the Glamour Girls.
Yeah.
So the Glamour Girls get the first fall, and then after that, we get a second fall went to the Jumping Bomb Angels, and then the third fall, of course, goes to the Jumping Bomb Angels. And go ahead, talk about the controversy.
So, apparently the Glamour Girls and Jumping Bomb Angels were feuding quite a bit, which I guess we kind of saw that in the Survivor Series match we saw them in. And they were feuding quite a bit until the Jumping Bomb Angels won the titles here. And then a few months later, I guess, the Glamour Girls won the titles in Japan again by beating the Bomb Angels. And I guess there was some kind of controversy with Fabulous Moolah. Fabulous Moolah was actually the ones that brought the Glamour Girls into WWF in 1975. She was upset because she had a falling out over no longer receiving a portion of their booking fees. So Moolah sabotaged them by going behind the WWF's back and informing the Japanese promoters that the Glamour Girls were to win the tag team belts in the last match of the tour. The girls did query this and tried to contact Patterson by telephone, but were unable to do so and agreed to win the belts. When they returned to the USA, they were confronted by Patterson, who informed them that they had totally screwed up the WWF's plans and that nobody within the WWF had made the decision for the title change. According to both Martin and Kai, he then refused to listen to them when told that it was Moolah who had ordered the title change. The plans Patterson had mentioned was a tag team championship match at WrestleMania 5 between the Bomb Angels and the Glamour Girls. The match was scrapped, ultimately costing all 4 women that would have been their largest payday, and the Women's Tag Team Championship abandoned in the mid-1989.
So, the last Women's Tag Team Champions recognized by WWF would be the Jumping Bomb Angels, or would be the Glamour Girls?
Well, I'm not real sure on that. The Glamour Girls were the last to have the titles, but WWF didn't recognize the change. They did not want that change.
I'll be darned. Well, the controversy I was actually asking about, and I got a little bit more than I expected, was the way this match had ended.
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's go with that. Talk about that.
So the controversy is, and this happens in tag team wrestling all the time, so the first part of the controversy wasn't really much of a controversy, was that both angels jumped off each top ropes and did a double drop kick onto one of the Glamour Girls. But then, as the Jumping Bomb Angel that got the pin, one of the elbows, or not elbows, the shoulder, one of the shoulders wasn't down on the mat. Referee counted 1, 2, 3, even though Vince McMahon tried to tell the audience, yeah, it was down, but the replay clearly shows the shoulders wasn't down. And they counted the 1, 2, 3, and they lost the title on a botched referee mistake, who didn't see that the shoulders were down. So this was a little bit of controversy, and even Jesse the Body Ventura pointed it out to the audience.
Sure, that's controversy too.
But
I went a little bit more back.
But your little history lesson, that was pretty interesting too. But
I mean, that was, I was wondering because I didn't realize there was a women's tag team back then.
Yeah, and I don't remember.
This is about
I don't remember that either.
This will be the last time we see it.
So this is it. We don't see it at WrestleMania
said that they
4?
wanted it at WrestleMania 5. But they, well, we might see it at 4, I guess. I don't know.
Well, we'll have to watch WrestleMania 4
I just-
and see what happens there. But I do know WrestleMania 4, there's a tournament. And we'll get to that later. But there's a tournament for the WWF Heavyweight Championship.
I kind of went on a rabbit hole because I'm like curious how old these women are. They look like older women, like 40s, 50s. And I found out that they're 33 and 28 in this match. So,
That's never good to think somebody's older when
I
they're
thought
that much younger.
I thought these young jumping bomb angels was facing their moms, equivalent of their moms, but no, they're young women.
Could have went to school together then.
Maybe.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so let's move it along and see what we got next.
Well, let's take a moment for our sponsor first.
Fair enough.
That's important, I guess.
So let's listen to our sponsor, Anchor, and we'll be right back after this promotional break.
And then we get the Royal Rumble.
Okay, so welcome back to our show. Next thing we get on this program is a contract signing with Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. But before they give us a little rehash, they show us the footage of WrestleMania 3 where Andre is claiming that he had the pin 1, 2, 3 and that the referee counted 1, 2, 3 but didn't end the match. Within 3 minutes into the match, he claims he beat Hogan at WrestleMania 3.
Tell me where he's wrong.
Well, the match continued. The referee, chose that it wasn't a 3. And the match continued, and we got the historic body slam on Andre the Giant from Hulk Hogan.
Now, do you remember that?
The body slam?
When we watched WrestleMania 3, do you remember that pin?
I remember the pin, but I don't recall thinking it was a 3 count until they showed the footage and questioning it. But no, while I watched it, I did not think the match was over. I thought he got up. Never once questioned it. Did you?
Of course.
Of course you would. So anyhow, so in this contract signing, not only before that, we also get a little bit of backstory of what's been going on WWF programming, and we find out that the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, had offered Hulk Hogan money for the World Heavyweight Championship. He tried to buy the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. What kind of snake does this?
I mean, tell me you would say no to that.
If I'm the champion, I'm the champion. You have to earn the championship. You can't just buy your way into a championship.
He's earning it with dollar bills, y'all. Dollar bills.
I don't think so. So anyhow, when that fails and Hogan says, hell no.
I don't think Hogan said hell no.
I think he said hell no, didn't he? Pretty sure he did. We'll have to rewind the tape. I think he said hell no.
That sounded very Stone Cold-like.
Well, I mean, maybe he's a pioneer. Maybe he did it before. Maybe that's where Stone Cold got it.
Is that right?
Maybe.
The
so
simple
anyhow,
phrase of hell no.
I think he said hell no, brother. Hell no, brother. So moving on, we find out that when that didn't work, he paid Bobby the Brain Heenan money for using Andre the Giant's services. So now, instead of Bobby the Brain Heenan managing Andre the Giant, now we have the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and Virgil pretty much managing Andre the Giant. So they're all in the ring together, and Ted DiBiase kind of has to kind of play into Hogan's emotions before he officially signs it. And then Andre finally signs it. Then you kind of get a bit of a stare off and everything. But it was kind of a fun moment in the show. You know, we've seen many, many contract signings in WWE history. That's kind of a long tradition, and they never really end well, do they?
Not one time.
Yeah, so every contract signing I think we've ever seen on television seems to always end in some kind of an altercation, somebody getting hurt, somebody hightailing it out of the ring. There's always something during these contract signings, and apparently back in 1988, there's no difference.
Well, this signing went off the rails right off the bat when Hulk Hogan comes out in acid wash jeans. I mean, looking as 80s can be right there.
Well, how do you expect him to look in the 80s?
Regular jeans.
So, his attire aside, now we finally, after this contract signing, have gotten to what we have been waiting for, the Royal Rumble match. You excited?
I am excited.
Match starts off. We have Bret the Hitman Hart as the number one entrant and Tito Santana as number two. And it's pretty good from the get-go. These two start going at it.
You start off with Tito Santana and Bret Hart. I mean, Bret Hart is one of the best to ever live and wrestle. So, I mean, and Tito's not too bad himself.
Yeah, so it was pretty exciting from the get-go, but then we get the natural Butch Reed who joins them in the ring, and it becomes a 2-on-1 against Tito. Not only does that happen, but the fourth entrant is the other member of the Hart Foundation. Jim the Anvil Neidhart comes in, and then it's 3-on-1, and at some point they could have eliminated Tito, but instead they just tortured him.
Yeah, they made a mistake there. They really should have gone for the elimination as soon as possible. Instead, they give time where the fifth entrant, Jake the Snake Roberts, comes out.
Yeah, so Jake the Snake Roberts, he comes down the aisle. Finally, another face comes in the ring with all these heels, and he comes after you can see that the three of these heels are trying to eliminate Tito Santana. Jake the Snake comes and surprises the natural Butch Reed, tosses him over the ropes, and we have our first elimination 3 minutes and 18 seconds into the very first Royal Rumble. So, congratulations, the natural Butch Reed. You just made history.
First ever.
This is a first in Royal Rumble history. So, after that, we get more entrants, but not a lot of eliminations for a little while there. We get the King Harley Race. Then we get Jim Brunzell. Then we get Sam Houston. Then we get Danny Davis. And then now the number 10th entrant, Boris Zakov. And during this time, the only elimination I believe we saw was Tito Santana finally got eliminated by Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. But it took him 10 minutes and 41 seconds to finally eliminate him. So, 10 entrants into the ring. We've got 2 eliminations. We've got 8 men in the ring. This has been a fun match.
Yeah, this is what you love about Royal Rumbles. You have there was that moment where all the entrants were trying to get Bret the Hitman Hart out. They just all kind of piled on each other. That was fun. Really enjoying this match so far.
Yeah, definitely when you, and I know in most Royal Rumbles I've watched, you almost always have a giant that shows up. We haven't had that giant show up yet.
Yeah, we'll probably get that in the form of maybe Big John Studd, because I'm pretty sure Andre's not it.
Andre seems to be
title.
So. He's focused on Hogan. Hogan's definitely not, I don't believe, is going to be in this. Andre just had his little contract signing, so I don't think he's going to be in this. So yeah, we could get a Big John Studd, a King Kong Bundy,
one man gang,
Bam Bam Bigelow. So we'll see who we end up getting. But you would assume, based off of Royal Rumble tradition, we would get that big guy to enter the ring. And so far, 10 entrants. And remember, this is only 20 men. So far, we haven't quite got that. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, or that tradition doesn't start here.
Fair enough. It's very possible. Once again, we have never watched this. A lot of these old Royal Rumbles we've never seen. So it is kind of exciting to not really know. But let's go ahead and keep moving on. See where this Royal Rumble takes us. Okay, so the next guy we get, and this was an interesting one. We have The Rock, Don Muraco, coming down, but at the same time, here comes Nikolai Volkov. Nobody knows what's going on. We got two guys showing up at the same time. So these two kind of exchange blows for a minute, and then the referees kind of, make things a little bit more aware that Don Muraco is the 11th entrant in this Royal Rumble match.
Nikolai Volkov was not smelling what The Rock was cooking.
Absolutely not. He wanted in there really bad. That's probably because his partner, Boris Zokov, was in the ring and he wanted to help him out. Because guess what happens before Nikolai Volkov can enter the ring? Jake the Snake Roberts and Jim Brunzell eliminates Boris Zokov.
Yes, they did.
So as this match keeps going on, we have Hacksaw Jim Duggan show up.
Ho!
Number 14 is the Outlaw Ron Bass.
I don't have anything for that.
Then we have another Killer B, number 15B, Brian Blair.
Boo.
Now at number 16 entrant, we have Hillbilly Jim.
Yeah.
Then we have Dino Bravo comes in at number 17.
Johnny Bravo's back.
And then number 18, I know, Blaze, you have been waiting for this. Here comes, running down the aisle, the Ultimate Warrior. Dun 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 dun. Even Bella was excited about that. That's my dog, ladies and gentlemen. So then, number 19, we finally get the big man that we had been talking about.
The one-man gang.
One-man gang. And then number 20, one of my personal favorites. We finally get
last show.
Yeah, we missed him in the Survivor Series, but he's back for the Royal Rumble, baby. And that's the Junkyard Dog. Arr, 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 arr.
But we didn't get Roddy Piper.
No, still no Roddy Piper in
This is a sad day.
in this show. So, not sure. Maybe there was an injury going on there. We're not sure where he disappeared to at this time.
If anybody knows, feel free to contact us.
So anyhow, so this match continues. We start getting people eliminated. At one time, I think we at least had 10 men in the ring, which seems to be about the max that they've kind of let happen, and then they'll get somebody eliminated, bring somebody in. But this match has been a blast.
Yeah, this has been fun.
Okay, so this match starts speeding along pretty quickly at one point, where guys are getting eliminated by the handful.
Yeah.
So we start seeing guys like Bret the Hitman Hart getting eliminated by The Rock, Don Muraco. We see Jake the Snake Roberts get eliminated by the one-man gang.
Yeah, that was sad.
We even see your fan favorite, the Ultimate Warrior. He gets picked on by Dino Bravo and One Man Gang. They both eliminate him. He didn't last very long. 3 minutes and 51 seconds is all he lasted in the Royal Rumble.
And they didn't really show his throw out either. It's like the camera was on something else, and then they show him being thrown out of the ring. I don't even... Who threw him?
Dino Bravo and One Man Gang ganged up on him.
Yeah, well, we didn't see that.
It was kind of quick. They didn't really. It was.
They
it was
showed
getting to
the
a point.
aftermath.
It was getting to the point where the action started getting pretty fast.
Yeah.
Where everybody just started getting eliminated. You had Junkyard Dog. He unfortunately got eliminated by the Outlaw Ron Bass. And then we're down to our final four.
Well, you forgot about Nikolai Volkov and Danny Davis.
Okay. Nikolai Volkov gets eliminated by Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Oh.
And Danny Davis also gets eliminated by Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
You just threw him out so fast.
That was a fun one.
Yeah.
He went into a 3-point stance like in football, and he just kind of tackled him out over the ropes. It was pretty
fun.
cool. So then we get down to our final four, which is The Rock Don Morocco, One Man Gang, Dino Bravo, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Ho!
Yeah, this is I have to say, it was a pretty decent Royal Rumble, but I wasn't a big fan of that Final Four.
Well, that's the Final Four we got, whether you like it or not. First one out of those four eliminated was The Rock, Don Morocco. He kind of got ganged up on by Dino Bravo and One Man Gang. They eliminated him. So then it didn't look too good for old Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He was getting double teamed by the heels. But luckily, there was some discord. One Man Gang clothesline Dino Bravo out of the ring after
Hacksaw kind of ducked.
After Jim Duggan ducked out of the way. So he got a little help from One Man Gang. So then it's down to Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the One Man Gang. And it was pretty fun. But ultimately it came down to One Man Gang's own momentum that kind of got him eliminated. He came charging after Hacksaw, and Hacksaw was smart enough to pull down the top rope. He rolled over. Here is your winner of the very first Royal Rumble match, Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
I'm okay with this winner. However, I feel like I'm a little sad that the Ultimate Warrior didn't make it to the Final Four. It's like, I guess he wasn't that big at this time. Or, I don't know. I feel like they did the Warrior wrong.
So let's break down this Royal Rumble. You had One Man Gang. He had the single most eliminations with 6. You had Bret the Hitman Hart last the longest with 25 minutes, 42 seconds.
Yeah, he was in there a long time.
You have, which we've already mentioned, the Natural Butch Reed became the first ever entrant into a Royal Rumble to be eliminated.
Oh, yeah. Good
and
for
then,
him.
of course, the first person
Way to make
ever.
history.
First person ever to win the Royal Rumble, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. So this was a fun match. I really enjoyed it. I always loved the Royal Rumble, and this didn't change my opinion about the Royal Rumble one bit. It was sad that there was only 20 men, but as we know, it changes to 30 down the road.
Well,
so
I
it'd be
believe it changes
interesting to
30
see
next
when
year.
it becomes. Is it 30 next year?
I believe it's 30 next.
So this was the only 20-man Royal Rumble match.
Yes.
Okay, so this will be the first time we get 20 men, and it becomes tradition for 30 men, and we will find out as we keep watching these shows when exactly they change it to the winner gets a title shot at WrestleMania.
Did Hacksaw Jim Duggan win anything for this?
You know, according to everything they're saying, I didn't hear that there was any kind of
stipulation
award or anything
he just
for winning
won.
this Royal Rumble. So we'll have to keep watching this show and finding out if anything more is said. But as of right now, I don't see there was any kind of prize to win this. It just must have been something fun they thought it would be interesting to do. And it obviously turns into history down the road because we still enjoy the Royal Rumble match to this day.
Yes, we do.
So, moving on, I think we might have only one more match left of the night. So, let's keep watching and see how this show shakes up. Okay, so before we move on to the main event, we get a promo with Hulk Hogan talking about the contract signing and the upcoming match they keep promoting for February 5th. It almost feels to me that we might have to take a look at this. It's not a WrestleMania. It's not a Survivor Series. It's not a Royal Rumble, and it's not even a SummerSlam. But don't you feel like we kind of have to check this out?
Maybe we could do a bonus episode. We'll watch that Hulk Hogan versus Andre match, say our thoughts on it, and just give a bonus episode for it.
We might have to do something, either a bonus episode or maybe bring it up at the next WrestleMania, which would be the next show that we have going on, because
we're definitely going to have to talk about it because
this is the rematch. How this rematch wasn't at WrestleMania or any of the big pay-per-views is beyond me, but this feels like a big deal, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it definitely feels like a big deal. I mean, $1 Million Man is putting all his money onto it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I know the history. I'll leave it alone for now. We'll save it for the next show, but I kind of know where this goes.
How do you know that? We haven't watched it yet.
Well, because this happened 30 years ago. So it's kind of something that I'm aware of. This match not only is a big deal rematch, but this match also leads into what happens at WrestleMania. So it feels like a big enough moment that we should definitely take a look at it and revisit this match.
Now the question is, do we have access to this match?
This is a good question. We have WWE Network to our disposal. We'll have to find out if we do have access.
I believe I read that it was on a pay-per-view called Main Event.
Was it a pay-per-view or just a televised special?
Pretty sure it was a pay-per-view.
We'll have to look into it. We've got the date. We know when the match is, and we've got the internet to our disposal if we can't figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, so moving on to the main event. Okay, so the main event of this Royal Rumble special, I'd say, not really a pay-per-view, is the Islanders, Haku and Tamu, versus the Young Stallions, Paul Roma and Jim Powers. Now, this was supposed to be... this was a best 2 out of 3 falls match, similar to the Women's Tag Team Championship match earlier in the night.
Yeah, but this was pretty much a squash match.
Yeah, it kind of became a squash match, and I don't think that was the idea.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this. So the match starts off kind of exciting enough. I believe it was Paul Roma had a really, really good drop kick that just looked amazing.
Yeah.
But it kind of went downhill after that drop kick, didn't it?
A little bit.
So the Islanders toss him outside, and he falls on the apron outside, and you can tell almost immediately something wrong has happened. He does not... This doesn't feel like he's playing up an injury. This feels like he legitimately is hurt.
They took him in the back and everything. I'm pretty sure this was a legit injury.
Yeah, it was even kind of awkward because, well, as we keep talking about, this was a television special. So they count him out. They award the first fall to the Islanders. Mm-hmm. But when we get back from commercial break, The Islanders are in the ring, and the Young Stallions are nowhere to be found, and instead, they go to an interview with Andre the Giant, Million Dollar Man, Ted DiBiase, and Virgil.
Yeah.
So
something that was probably for the end of the show or something.
Yeah, probably was supposed to be after this match, but they went ahead and did it during this time. So there was a little bit of confusion where we wasn't 100% sure if the show kind of was over. Was they going to finish this match? Because they didn't really tell us. They just kind of went to this interview as if it was normal to go to an interview in the middle of a match. So
well, it wasn't in the middle. That was the end of the first fall. You know, he got counted out because he got injured and couldn't get back in the ring.
Fair enough. But in a best 2 out of 3 falls, one of the teams don't usually go to the back and rest up before the next 2 falls. So this was unusual.
It was unusual, but yeah, it was. Just to be clear, the first fall was over.
Yes, they counted them out. They finished the first fall. So then we get this interview with Andre the Giant, where we hear Million Dollar Man talk at first, and then we get some mumbling from Andre.
Correct.
And constantly, the only thing I could really understand from him was February 5th. That was about the extent, because I think he was trying to claim, even though Hogan beat him at WrestleMania 3, he's trying to claim he is still undefeated, but it kind of came out, I am still defeated. But he really wasn't getting that unword in front of the defeated. So it was kind of an awkward interview. So thankfully he has
Way
guys.
to insult the dead guy.
I'm not trying to insult him. He is French, so that's one thing. And then because of his gigantism, it was just hard to understand Andre. He really needed that Bobby the Brain Heenan, and now, as we know right now during this portion of his career, Million Dollar Man, to really talk for him. So it was kind of awkward to even give him the mic, because he really just said everything Million Dollar Man already said, but just more in a mumbly French accent, hard to understand voice.
You know what? He's going to throw rocks at you from heaven.
He probably would. And he can probably lift big rocks and boulders.
He can. Haven't you seen The Princess Bride?
Yeah.
He throws rocks.
I've seen The Princess Bride, and we would like to give a shout out to one of our listeners, Greg out there, who he shamed us on our Facebook page. Flat out shamed us for not mentioning The Princess Bride during that WrestleMania match, because, as he pointed out, Princess Bride was released the same year as that WrestleMania, and he was absolutely disgusted with us that we never talked about the movie. So we'd like to take this moment.
He also praised me for bringing me. I did bring up the movie. I just didn't mention it came out the same year.
No, this is true. But
as long as I keep seeing Andre, I'm going to keep referencing that movie because it's great.
So apparently, on our wrestling podcast, we should have dived into more discussion about a movie that came out the same year as this WrestleMania, and we'd like to apologize to Greg the listener, because we want to give you people what you want. So please keep giving us that feedback, and we will either praise you for it or shit on you later. We haven't decided yet. It just depends on the feedback.
Inconceivable!
So here we go. We take another commercial break, and as we come back from commercial, we finally get the conclusion of this match, which really, as you had already mentioned, kind of became a squash match at this point.
And it kind of had to be. I mean, essentially the end of this match, I mean, the other guy got in there a little bit, but Roma just...
he couldn't do much.
Yeah, they just kept on attacking his leg.
It was kind of odd that he even got back in the ring.
Yeah, I don't know why they tagged him back in.
So we would like to discuss how Mr. Jim Powers is the biggest coward we have ever seen in the sport of professional wrestling.
I thought that was my job.
Because, okay, so when they first come out, the referee states that because of the way the match had
because he was the
ended
one that
with the first
got
fall,
the loss. Because he got counted out, he had to be in the ring first.
They would not let Jim Powers come in the ring to start the match.
Fair.
So Paul Roma had no choice but to start the match, even though you can clearly see he is one-legged at this point.
Yeah.
So then we get a quick tag to Powers, and you think to yourself, thank God this guy can just sit on the apron and finish the match. But that's not what happened.
For some reason, he's like, hey, you with the bad leg, why don't we tag you back in?
So apparently, a one-legged Paul Roma is better than a two-legged Jim Powers at this point. And I really felt bad for him because
it was a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest.
Here's the reality, and let's acknowledge that wrestling's fun, it's a show, but even though it's still a show, that man looked legitimately hurt. Why would you tag him in? It was just sad.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was sad, and then the Islanders had no choice but to beat up on him and to target the leg, because why wouldn't you? And eventually the ref stepped in during a submission hold, and the ref stepped in and finally ended the match and said, enough, that's 2 falls. Now, and it brings me up to another conversation. Have you ever seen a 2 out of 3 falls match end in 2 falls?
Not that I can think of.
It almost always goes 1-1 and then the third fall.
I've also never seen a pay-per-view with 2 out of 3 fall match.
This is a fair thing to bring up. I've never seen that either. And not only was it 2 matches that were 2 out of 3 falls, but there were 2 tag team matches.
Yeah, and this. Okay, I'm just going to say this right now. This was even if he didn't injure his leg, this was a terrible main event. Like, why do you have the island? It wasn't even a title match. Why do you have this follow your Royal Rumble? The match that this entire thing is named after, you don't have as the main event. You have the Islanders versus the Young Stallions. Like, were they big back then? Like, did people mostly care about these tag teams? Like, it wasn't even a title match.
No, it wasn't, and that wasn't the main event. Wasn't a title match. It was a tag team match. It was kind of odd. They didn't even give us any kind of a backstory on why these 2 are the main event of this show. So they clearly made this a television special. Matter of fact, I'd like to point out how often we saw promos in the weightlifting thing, and it felt like an episode of Monday Night Raw as opposed to a pay-per-view, which is very odd for me to see because I never knew that about the first ever Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
and I just learned this.
Yeah, it was very weird. It was an okay show overall. I mean, I still enjoy Royal Rumble, so that really helped it, but yeah, this was This kind of not as disappointing to me as WrestleMania 1, but kind of a disappointing start.
Yeah, I mean, the Royal Rumble match was exciting, and that's what we came to see. But the show overall wasn't what we thought a Royal Rumble pay-per-view was going to be, and that was kind of odd to see. We saw one title match, and it was a tag title for the women's tag team title. But that was the only match that even really showed any kind, and they didn't even give us a backstory, but us watching Survivor Series just recently, we kind of saw there was a feud brewing there, but outside of that, they didn't really explain why they were fighting.
Although
they just
kind of felt like the Killer
became the number
Bees
one.
would have made more sense in that match over the Young Stallions. Yes, the Young Stallions were at the end, but it was the Killer Bees that got the win in that Survivor Series match.
Fair enough.
Against the Islanders.
So yeah, it was just kind of a different show overall. It's kind of funny how sometimes you remember history a little differently, and this is what we're learning. Keep in mind, I was 4 when this show came out.
Yeah, this isn't history for us. I mean, other than we've heard about it. So, you know, we looked in the textbooks for it, but you know, we weren't really watching wrestling when we were like 4 and 5.
And if we wasn't really paying enough attention to know these details either.
No.
All right, so let's move on to our first segment.
Favorite match of the night.
Okay, so the favorite match of the night, really, we're going to kind of have a rule on this for the Royal Rumble because it would be redundant if we constantly do Royal Rumble pay-per-views, and it would be, obviously, most of the time it's going to be our favorite match of the night. So we're going to just scrap the Royal Rumble as if that's not considered a match.
We'll do specific segments for the Royal Rumble, instead of allowing it to be part of our favorite match of the night.
Right.
So we will do some stuff. Maybe we won't figure it all out, but we will do segments for the Royal Rumble specifically. So this favorite match, our least favorite match. Now I say if you want to say the least favorite match of the night is the Royal Rumble, that's okay. But if it's
not going to be the favorite.
But it's not going to be the favorite. Like if you honestly think that the main attraction, the Royal Rumble, is your least favorite, then by all means say the least favorite match of the night is the Royal Rumble. But favorite match of the night is going to go to any matches other than the Royal Rumble.
Okay, fair enough. So in this show, we only had 3 matches to choose from. So my opinion of the favorite match of the night had to go to the Jumping Bomb Angels versus the Glamour Girls. 2 out of 3 falls for the WWF Women's Tag Team Championship. I thought it was a very fun match. I thought it had the biggest pop of the night, outside of probably Duggan winning the Royal Rumble. There was a huge pop. I mean, you could see it. As soon as they won the titles, that crowd went wild. So for me, that was the best match of the night. I liked some of the things that happened in that match. And even though I didn't 100% dislike the first match, which would have contended for my other one, there was just moments that dragged out that kind of made me sway this way. How about you, Blaze?
See, I completely disagree. I think the first match was the best match of the night. I think it was... it was the Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Ravishing Rick Rude. Definitely the best match of the night because I didn't see the same issues with it as you did. I felt like those slow parts were good storytelling, so I disagreed with that. The Bomb Angels, that was a decent match. I can see why. I mean, we only have 3 to choose from here, so
fair enough.
I get your choice there, but no, I'm gonna go with the Ricky the Dragon Steamboat match.
Okay, so that moves on to our next segment.
Worst match of the night.
Okay, so worst match of the night, you only have 3 to choose from. Well, actually, no, in this case, based off of your rules, Blaze, you have 4 matches to choose from, because if you so would like to, the Royal Rumble could be included in your worst match of the night. So, Blaze, tell me, what do you think the worst match of the night tonight was?
Well, it's not the Royal Rumble. It's obviously, and I don't think this is a fault of the competitors in this match, but it's the Islanders versus the Wild Stallions. And, well, you know what? I think it's partially booking. I mean, yes, part of it's the injury, definitely made that a bad match, but it's partially booking. There is no reason that should be the main event of this Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
No reason. That was bad booking, in my opinion.
I would agree with you here. Even if the events of the match didn't happen the way it did, it definitely seemed awkward. If you're making an event, and this is your brand new event, and you didn't have some big title match or something going on, this should have been the Royal Rumble as the main event, unless you had something bigger
Unless you had
to
like
follow.
Hogan versus Andre rematch.
Exactly. We're talking WrestleMania 3 all the way till right now. You're talking you've had almost a year to have this rematch, and what better way to cap off this night would have been Andre versus Hogan, but instead what you get is constant promos. You get this contract signing. So I would have to agree with you that the worst match of the night definitely was the Islanders versus the Young Stallions, which is very unfortunate because we were watching the match together in the very beginning of that match. I mean, it was kind of exciting.
It wasn't bad.
But they're really...
I like the Islanders.
Yeah, and Paul Roma really was impressing us early in this match that we were like, wow, this might be an exciting match. And as soon as he got injured, the match just derailed. And that is not of anybody's fault. Injuries happen in the business, but the reality is it happened, and there isn't enough sample size of this match to help bring it back from the grave of this show.
And it's not like you have a lot of options here.
Right. So it's really sad to talk.
Actually, can I say the worst match of the night is Johnny Bravo doing his strongman thing?
If it was a match, I'd allow it, because that was 10 minutes I don't think we can get back.
We can't.
So, and then as of...
podcasters, not time travelers.
Exactly. So, unfortunately, we don't have enough Royal Rumbles to do the rankings, but this would have to be the best and the worst as of this episode. But let's go ahead and go on to something special maybe we can try to do every episode of Royal Rumble. And why don't you tell me your favorite elimination from the Royal Rumble?
I'm going to have to go with the one-man gang and Hacksaw Jim Duggan ducking, and one-man gang taking out
Dino Bravo?
Dino Bravo.
Okay, fair enough. My favorite
There
part...
wasn't a lot of exciting exits in this Royal Rumble.
Fair enough.
It's the first one, so fair.
So my favorite moment was when Hacksaw Jim Duggan got down in the three-point stance and he tackled Danny Davis over the top ropes. To me, that was the most fun in the whole match. I mean, there was a lot of good spots in this match, but for me, that was just the best elimination that really stood out to me. I know in later Rumbles we get a lot of different eliminations, a lot of fun different eliminations. This one, it was mostly people just kind of grabbing onto him and then tossing him over. Not a lot of pizzazz in this one when it came to the eliminations. So there wasn't a lot of sample size to choose from. But for me, that was a little bit unique enough to stand out for me as the best.
Okay,
so...
that was all right. It was a fun... I mean, as far as eliminations go, it's definitely up there in this Royal Rumble.
Definitely. Okay, so that is the end of our Royal Rumble episode. We have finally got through that. We have one more WrestleMania to get to. I believe we're going to probably revisit that main event. Maybe watch for that to be a special bonus episode.
Mm-hmm. And then, who knows? Maybe we'll just do the whole show. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. We'll take a look at it. And then, of course, then we finally get to finish the Big Four, and we finally get to have our first taste of SummerSlam. So we're starting to move along on this podcast, and we're really excited to see what comes up. And this is our show, our rules. If we see something special that happened the year of that we're watch for bonus episodes we might drop based off of, I know there's been moments in history like Hell in a Cell and, where The Undertaker threw down Mankind off the top of the cage. I'd love to revisit, moments like that would be fun to do.
Right.
So we'll just have to see where this goes. So, you're gonna have to cut.
No. That would be Rage laughing because his family is on drugs apparently and acting weird.
Okay, so if we're gonna continue to record this, give you a little backstory. My beautiful, beautiful wife Tracy lost my birthday present. She of course did what any mother would do in this position, and she blamed it on our daughter Scarlett. Fair enough,
as
right?
As one does.
I've pointed the fingers at my kids before. Definitely. Anyhow, while we have been recording this podcast, it turns out my wife is not going to get credit for this because my oldest daughter, Janessa, is going to immediately take credit for this. And she found my birthday present. So I would like a huge thank you to my wife and my 3 beautiful girls because they got me a awesome, lovely Raiders polo that maybe I'll take a picture with and post it on the page. This is pretty exciting. They know that I love my Raiders gear. I'm a huge Raiders fan, and this is a wonderful birthday present. I would just like to say thank you. I'd also like to say thank you to my brother Blaze, who sent out a special message as a small bonus episode, as a huge big old happy birthday to me. I'd like to say thank you to you as well. And I'd like to also point out
this was like 2 weeks ago.
This was, but you know what? I don't care if it was 2 weeks ago. I'd like to share this memory. I'd also like to point out that when I was doing the social media stuff, that I found out I share a birthday with Big Daddy Cool Diesel.
Who's
Kevin
always
Nash.
been one of your favorites.
Always been one of my favorites. Huge fan of him as Diesel. When he was buddying up with Shawn Michaels. Became an even bigger fan of his when he jumped sides to the WCW and was with the Outsiders and created the NWO. To me, he's always been a great superstar in wrestling history, and he's my favorite big man in wrestling history. So you have those 7-foot tall giants and stuff. To me, he's always been my favorite. And so a huge thank you to everybody that made my birthday special, and a big thank you to you listeners for listening to the show. I thank you all, and that will be it for me tonight. I am Rage.
I'm Blaze.
Bye.
Farewell from Rage's Pit.
Farewell. And your winners, and still tag team champions of podcast, The Rage
And Blaze Show.
Thank you for listening.
Good night.
Hey everyone, this is Blaze from the Rage and Blaze and the Boomer and Blaze Show. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more wrestling content.